Hi, this is Virendra Singh from ToolsQA.com. I welcome you to class number 4 on Cucumber in Java. In this class, we will talk about scenario steps and we will talk about how to create scenario step definitions as well. So this class is in continuation with the series of tutorials that we have on Cucumber and Java. So I request you to go back and go through all our previous tutorials before coming to this one, because here we will be taking references from the previous tutorials which you need to have an understanding to. So just go back and go through the tutorials if you haven't already done that. And if you have done that, let me just take you through to the agenda. The agenda of the class is we will be talking about parts of a test case. We will try to dissect how a manual test case looks like, and then we will talk about the given keyword and the corresponding step definition. We will talk about the when keyword and the corresponding step definition. Then we will talk about the then keyword and the corresponding step definition. At the end of the tutorial, we will talk about how to add comments in your feature file. So before we move forward in today's class, let me just quickly tell you what we discussed in the last class. In the last class, we discussed about the feature keyword, and we also talked about the scenario keyword. We said you can create a feature keyword, you can create a feature with a feature keyword, and you can have the name of the keyword in the same line, and you can add the description of the keyword in the new lines after the feature keyword. We also said that there was a scenario keyword which can help you write a scenario. The text which you write just in front of the scenario keyword in the same line makes the name of the scenario, and the text that you write in the new line after the scenario keyword, it makes up your scenario description. So, all right. So with that understanding, let us go back and let's see what do we have in today's class. So the first part that we want to discuss is parts of a test case. Now, before I go into the parts of test case, I will quickly open up Notepad, and we will just carry forward the example that we took earlier. So the example that we took earlier was that we were about to write a scenario where we would just verify that the application doesn't allow a user to log in with invalid username. So the scenario was verify that user is not able to log in with invalid username. That was the scenario, right? So if we were to write the steps of the scenario, we would write it in such a way. The first step would be to bring the application to the login page. So the first thing would be navigate to the login page so that we can perform our action. Then the second step would be the actual login step, login with invalid username and a valid password. And the third step would be the verification step, where we will verify that application denies login to the user with appropriate to the user by displaying appropriate error message, right? So this is how you would write your test in a very basic fashion. At the core of it, a test looks something like this, right? So if we were to segregate the test, the first step would be the precondition, because this is where we are bringing the application to a state where we can test what we want to test, right? And the second step would be your interaction with the application. This is where you will actually interact with the application to perform the scenario that you want to test. And then at the end, you will do a verification, right? So basically all your tests will have these three things in them. The precondition, where you will bring your application to the state where you can test what you want to test. The second would be interacting with the application, where you will perform the steps which you want to test. And then the third thing that you would do would be that you will verify the outcome of whatever steps you had taken, and you will verify what the outcome from the application is. So that is the third step. So these are the three things that will happen in your test always. So now with this understanding, keep this in mind, and we will then try to associate these steps with the given, when, and then steps or the keywords that we are about to learn. So in this slide, we are just reiterating what I explained. The first thing in your test would be, the first step would be to get the system to a particular state. That is called your precondition. Then you will perform the user actions required. Then you will perform the user actions that are required, and after that you will perform your validation step, right? So these are the three steps that are required, or that forms a test scenario. A test, yeah, basically forms a test scenario. So with this idea of the different parts of your test, let us look at the given keyword. So given keyword is basically your first step, which defines the precondition of the application. So if I go back to the notepad, the first step where you navigate to the login page becomes your given keyword. Right, simple as that. So in Cucumber, given represents the step which is the precondition step. Okay, so in the slide we are just mentioning exactly that. We are saying here that given keyword states the precondition of the application. For example, to start the test we have to be on the login page, right? So that is the precondition. So you would write something like this: given user is on the login page. I will show you how we can write it in a few seconds. And then for the corresponding given step, scenario step in your feature file, you will have a corresponding given annotation step definition in your code file. So for a given step you should have a test method with the @given annotation, so that you can have a mapping between a given step and a given step definition. So we will talk about the @given annotation. Let me just quickly take you back to the Eclipse project. In the project, I will go back to the feature file that we created earlier. This was the feature file. In this file, till this point, we have created a login feature file. We named it login because the feature or the functionality that we were trying to test is the login functionality. That's why we named it login. We created a feature keyword where we explained, where we gave a name to the feature, and then we explained a few things about the feature in the lines, in the new lines below. After that, we created a scenario. The scenario name is login with invalid username, and then we gave a description to the scenario. The description was, verify that user is not able to log in using a username with special characters, right? Now at this point we have a feature file, we have a scenario, but we don't have scenario steps. So if I take the same example and like what we had taken earlier, you would see that we will have steps like this for this scenario, right? So I will just write the first step. So to write a step, you have to use given, when, or then keywords. So the first step is basically the given step, where we will talk about the precondition. So I will use the given keyword. So I will just tab 3 times so that I get a proper indentation from the left. Here I would write given space user is on the login page. This gives the precondition, right? So this is how you write a given step where you want to specify the precondition. Now once you write the given step and save your file, you will get a small warning message on the left hand side. If you will look at it, it will say step user is on the login page does not have a matching glue code. So what it essentially means is that we haven't put the step definition for this particular scenario step. So there are many ways to write step definitions. We will discuss them in our advanced part of this tutorial series, where we will talk about how to write your scenario step definitions yourself. But at this point in time, we will just rely on the suggestions given to us by Cucumber. So after writing the given scenario step, all you have to do is just go back to your Cucumber test runner class, right click on it, and do a run as JUnit test. When you run it as a JUnit test, it will Cucumber will read your feature file, and it will find out that there is one scenario in your feature file and there is one step. It will find out that the step is missing the step definition, So it will give you a suggestion that you can implement your step definition with this particular piece of code. So all you have to do is just copy this, go back to your package, and then go back to the login step definitions file that we created earlier. This was the file where we put all our step definitions. So in this file, if you already have some methods here, just remove all the methods and paste the method that we just copied. Once you paste this method, remove the internal implementation, the default implementation, and leave it like this. Now pay attention. For a given scenario step, we got a given method annotation, right? Now you would get a small red wavy line, which means there is an error right now. The error is that you have to import the package. So hover over the given keyword and it will give you an option to import the package in which this keyword resides. So just click on this, it will import given. Now all the errors will go away. So at this point we have just implemented the step definition for the given scenario step that we created. The important point to note here is that for a given scenario step, you should have a method with @given annotation, right? And also the second thing I want you to pay attention to is that this given annotation, it accepts a regular expression. By regular expression I mean that it expects a string value which can represent matching sentences, right? For the time being, we will just copy the steps, the step description, or the step description that we have given. We will just copy it as it is. We will append it with the hat operator, and uh, we will add the hat operator in the start, and we will add the dollar operator in the end. These are regular expression operators. We will talk about the regular expressions in details in the advanced part of the course, but for the time being, just remember that to find out the method uh, which corresponds to a particular scenario step in your feature file, Cucumber searches for the exact annotation type which is given. It will search for the annotation, all the methods with the given annotation, and at the same time it will also find out what is the regular expression that is specified. If it finds a match of the regular expression with the statement that you have given here, it will assume that this is the method which represents the step definition for a particular given scenario step. So Cucumber has two things to match. The first thing is the exact step keyword, and then the text inside it. So at this point in time, we have exactly specified the text that is mentioned here in the feature file. So there will be an exact match, and this particular method will become a corresponding step definition for our given step. So what I will do, I will simply put inside it a print statement, and I will say we are inside given of login test. So this will be printed out once Cucumber executes this method, right? So you have to join the dots by going back to the previous class where we talked about how Cucumber works. Right, in that class we talked about how Cucumber reads your step definition, reads your scenario files, and then the feature files, and then it finds out the respective step definitions. And this is how it finds the step definition. It tries to match the keyword and the text in front of the keyword. Alright, so with that understanding, we have just added a step definition for the given keyword. Now let us try to run it and let's see what we get. If I run it as a JUnit test, I will get that this time there is no suggestion by Cucumber. There is no warning message or error message. It says that it was able to find one scenario, it had one step, and the step had a step definition. It executed the method in the step definition, and inside the method we have just printed out this statement, inside given of login test. Right, this is exactly what we have printed out here. So we got it in the logs on the console. So this is how you specify a given scenario step. Now let us go back to the slide and let's see what is the next keyword that we have. The next keyword is the when keyword. So if I go back to the notepad, in the notepad we said the second thing that we do in a test is interact with the application to perform the user interaction, right? So that can be represented by the when keyword. So here in the second step we are saying that login with an invalid username and a valid password. So if I go back to the feature file and if I read our feature again, our scenario again, it says scenario login with invalid username. Given user is on a login page, when user enters invalid username and a valid password. So basically the user interaction with your application will be specified by the when keyword, right? Similar to the given keyword, when keyword can also be, when keyword also requires a definition, step definition. To get the step definition, right click on your package explorer and on your Cucumber runner class, just right click on it and do a run as JUnit test. When you do that, it will give you and it will tell you that now Cucumber is able to find two steps inside your scenario, but one step is missing a step definition. So I will just copy this and just like we did for the given scenario, I will just paste it. Now you would see that there is a difference. This time Cucumber suggested at the rate when annotation instead of at the rate given annotation because we have a when step, right? So when step should have the corresponding annotation. So it's a at the rate when annotation. So if you hover over it, it will ask you to import the package. You just import the package, you remove the internal code, and you would have now have the implementation of when step also, when keyword. Now inside it, I will simply print out something similar to what we did above. I will simply say inside when of login test. And once I do that, I have created a when step scenario step, and at the same time I have also created a when scenario step definition. So if I run my test again, right click on Cucumber test runner and do a run as JUnit, you would see that it will this time say that there was one scenario and there were two steps, and it will execute both the step definitions. The first step definition prints out that we are inside given of login test. The second step definition prints out we are inside when of login test. So this is how we just created the when keyword. We created a scenario step with the when keyword, right? So don't worry about this message here. It will just go away after a few minutes. Now let us move on in the slide and let's see what we have next. The next is the then keyword. Now the then keyword, as we described here, represents the final step in your test scenario. It talks about the verification from the output, verification of the output that you received from the application. So it says denies. So it says that in the final step we will verify whether the application allowed the user to log in or not, right? So that is the verification step. To verify something you will use the then keyword. So you will say then keyword uh, and then the description of the scenario step. We will go into that in a minute, but on the slide it clearly says that then keyword is used to describe step which verifies the outcome from the application. Exactly what we talked about as the third step in our notepad. Right here we said it is the outcome of outcome from the application, and we will verify the outcome. At the rate then annotation is what we will use in our step definition to have a corresponding step definition for then keyword, and it will be exactly similar to what we had for given and when. Let us see how we can do that. So I will simply say then application should deny login to the user. Simple as that, right? We have just added the then keyword. We will get an error message stating that the step definition is missing, but we know how to add the step definition. All you have to do, go back to Package Explorer, right click on your test runner class, do a run as JUnit test. When you do that, it gives you error message. This time it says that there were 3 steps that it was able to find and 1 step was missing an implementation. So all you have to do is just copy this, go back to your step definitions, paste it right here. Pay attention that this time you have got a then at the rate then annotation, because this is corresponding to the then step in your scenario steps, right? And you will see that this exact text would be specified here as a regular expression, right? Simple as that. So you would just import the then keyword, and then you will remove everything from inside it, and you will just copy the statement here, and you would say inside then of login test. So like this, we have just created the then keyword scenario step, and at the same time we have created the then scenario step definition, right? So right now we have a complete implementation of our scenario, the very first scenario. This scenario has 3 steps, and we have 3 step definitions right here in the code file. So these are the 3 step definitions. So we were able to we were able to associate the feature scenario steps with the step definitions by specifying in the test runner class the glue code. We said the glue code is situated inside a package called tests. So you will see that the glue code is inside the tests package. So Cucumber will come here and try to find the step definition for any step that you mention here, right? So it will be able to find that in this package, in this class, we have the step definitions. So with this understanding, I will simply go back, right click on the Cucumber test runner and just do a run as again. When I do that, this time I will not get any error message, but we will see that all the 3 steps were executed inside given of login test, inside when of login test, and inside then of login test. So this is how we can write given, when, and then for our feature files in Cucumber. And now we also know when to use given, when to use when, and when to use then, right? So use them judiciously so that it improves the readability of your tests. If I go back to the feature file, you can see that by using the appropriate keyword, the readability of this particular scenario has improved, right? So we can say given user is on the login page. That means, yeah, that is the precondition because it is given. When it means that now the user will interact with the application. Then means finally what happens? Finally, we will check that the application should deny login to the user. So this was what we wanted to cover as keywords in this class. We will cover more keywords in the coming classes. So let's wait for other keywords. Now let me move on to the next slide. The next slide talks about adding comments. Now, in your Java code, you can add a comment by simply doing 2 forward slashes. So if you go back here, and if I want to add comments, I can simply do 2 forward slashes and I can write something. This is step def file for login tests, right? These comments are really important because they give extra information to the user without being a part of the program. So when your program compiles, this will be completely ignored. But for the reader of your file, it makes sense because they can get extra information out of comments. Similarly, as in Java files, you can also write comments in your feature files. A comment starts with the hash keyword and then whatever text you want to write. So this is a simple when step scenario step. Simple as that. So you can add a comment like this, and it will be ignored by Cucumber during the test run. If you want to check it out, you can just right click on the runner and you can say run as JUnit test, and you would see that there is no mention of the comment. It is completely ignored. But for a reader of your of your feature file, it makes sense. Whatever you write here, that would be extra information that you want to give to the reader, right? So use comments judiciously, add information which you think otherwise is not clearly visible. So you add that information in comments, and also make sure that a comment can never come in the same line as that of a keyword. So you cannot have a comment like this. When you do this, the given step altogether changes, because now this becomes a part of the given test. It's not a comment, it's a part of the given step. So if you run your test again, this time you will get a missing step definition error. So you will get a missing step definition error, and in the step definition you will get the comment as well. So you would want to avoid this error. You would want to not include comments there in front of each keyword, right? Don't include it there. Now with this understanding, you can add comments also now. So I think that was the last topic for today's class. Let me see. Yeah, this was the last topic. So I think you learned quite a bit about the given, when, and then keywords, and when to use them, and how they logically associate with different sections of a test. Given stands for the precondition, when stands for the interaction with the application, then stands for the post condition, which is the validation of your application output. All right, so with this understanding, let us meet in the next class. Thank you.